Whether you're new to pool and practicing the basics, or a more experienced player performing drills to improve your shot making and positional play, the Drill Partner is perfect for you.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Doggin It. Hope you guys are doing okay. How you doing this morning, Millie and Mike?
Doing pretty good, man. I'm excited. It's a busy week, man. We've had some great guests already, and then we got some more guests lined up for later on this week, and then of course the one Mr. Lely today. I'm pretty excited about this for a number of different reasons. Number one, he's just a great interview, and he doesn't BS you, which I can appreciate and respect. And so there's always so many angles to talk about when it comes to Alex and his expertise and insight. So I'm pumped, man.
So I had always been a fan of his pool playing and kind of following him over the years. But last year with Mosconi Cup, getting to know him, I was so impressed with just the way he thinks about the game and, just some of the insights that he shared that I was like, man, I kind of missed it this year, because Ralph was a little more quiet. We didn't really get to talk to Ralph as much. And it was just really nice being there with Alex last year. So I'm happy to have him back, and I'm curious to see what he's up to.
Yeah, I told you that one story from last year's Mosconi Cup, right? When it was in the evening and we're at the bar, Team Europe's there. I think it was after like day 2 or something. And Alex comes up and he just does this number to me, and I'm like, oh shit, what did I say about him? He probably heard the podcast at some point, but
yeah, he's got that.
He does, yeah.
You kind of know he's no BS kind of guy, and it's like, hey, uh-oh, what did I do?
Yeah, it ended up being a super great conversation, very productive, and he was kind of giving his point of view on a touchy subject, but the way that it came across at the time, I was like, oh, and I just instantly try to replay like all the things that I did and said, over the last few days. So anyhow, let's bring him on in, Joe.
Yeah, go ahead. Or I'll bring him in. You got him? Okay.
Yeah, I got him. Alex, welcome back to the show. How are you?
Hey guys, yeah, all good. I'm in the Netherlands now. I've moved to Italy, but for Christmas I've come over to see my family, and it's nice to be back on the show.
That's awesome.
Boy, Joe.
I was just gonna say, what led you to move to Italy? That's super cool.
Well, because I can. So children are old enough, and I actually think that moving at a distance a little bit is gonna up the quality. If I'm staying in the same house, I'm just a nuisance to them, and they don't want to come and see me enough, as far as I'm concerned. And I have relatives there. My father's Italian, so I'm staying close to my family, and I'll have my kids over plenty of times during the year, and it's a beautiful place. It's the Netherlands. The whole of the Netherlands is very urban. It's like one big city, where this area in central Italy is very clean air, mountains, a lot of nature. It's beautiful, and it's still close to the airport. To Rome airport, so that allows me to travel, but at the same time, it'll give me a good base.
You've had a very strong footprint on training players out of the Netherlands, famously out of The Hague, and you've done teachings and lessons all over the world. How does this new location serve you in that, if you're still going to continue training players at all, Alex?
So I'm bringing my work to Italy. So most of my commentary work is snooker, and I can do that remote from home. And I also teach. That's about a part of my activities during the year. And before, they were all coming to The Hague, and we would work in Hague 5 in the club, which is a great place. But now I've bought my table. It's coming in. I'm setting it up. And, I'm going to create a little more presence online to make sure that people know that I'm there for lessons, because I do work with many, many champions. I think all the top players in Europe trust me with their alignment, their technique, their shot selection, but it's something I don't bring forward too much, because I always ask them, is it okay if I share it online? And they say no. It's a bit of a tough spot, but I get that. Yeah, so I have a table and I have so accommodation for players, so I can offer the whole lot, including hikes and walks outdoors, great food, and I'm into a lot regarding the mental game. I do the Wim Hof cold water exposure. I do it for myself.
I
I
love it.
Breathing techniques. So whoever comes, who pays decides. So I can offer the whole lot, a 360 picture of what you can do to play better pool. But I can also imagine one would come to just practice 3 hours a day and eat pasta for the rest, have a nap, and
there
a
ain't nothing
nice
wrong with
walk.
that either.
Yeah.
Yeah. How okay?
Now,
Give me the temperature of the cold plunge or the water you're dipping in, and how long are you able to stay in there?
Well, it's not a competition. If it's close to freezing, that's better. And it needs to be you need to be in there at least a minute and a half.
yeah.
That's
So if you want to
that's
read it, if you want to read into it, it's like practice. You get used to it, but it's about controlling your breathing, and
it
then
is.
your body will shift to parasympathetic system, which makes it easier to deal with. And there's a lot of
Oh,
many benefits with it. Not just the mental benefit of fuck yeah, I did that,
yeah.
but also cardiovascular and hormonal. It gives you a good buzz the rest of the day.
So
That's
Alex,
exactly. I could not agree with you more. It's that high you get after getting out of there. If you can fade that 90 seconds, that 90 seconds is the threshold though for me. It's like yeah, I'm like counting down, but once I hit the 90 seconds, I feel like it eases up some. But it's hard to get over that hump. What were you gonna say, Joe?
well, I was going to say, so I have a cold plunge at the house, and the hardest part is actually the decision to do it every single day. Even if you do it, right? Even if it's a pattern for you or a habit, it's still a decision you have to make every day. You have to come to terms with it and say, and you hate making that choice, but then you do it, and when you get out, you feel great. So it's a great experience. So
Nice.
what
I thought when you asked Mike,
Yeah.
I was gonna preach in front of people who don't know, but
No.
you guys do it. It's nice.
I
Good to
love
hear.
it because the gym that I go to, they got really nice amenities, but part of it is for the girls because they got stuff for them to be able to do. But the cold plunge was actually a big selling point for me because of the recovery, and I'm not the kind of guy where I can jump on in. I gotta have to like build it up a little bit,
Yep.
But once I'm able to do it, man, it's like and really the commitment comes from knowing the feeling on the end result because it can be a little painful at times, a bit of a struggle, but I know, man, if I can get through it, I'm feeling like $1,000,000 the rest of the day, So
Yeah.
my whole body is just on a different kind of high at that point. So I really love that.
Alex plunged, have you gotten some of your students to cold plunge, like big names, and who was the biggest wimp to get in there?
Yeah, it's a good
Oh
question.
no, we didn't. Last year in Vegas with the Mosconi team, we rented this place to do our preparation, and there was a swimming pool outside, and it was cold. I think this was like 70.
Yeah, yeah, maybe
Yeah,
somewhere around there. Yeah,
it gets
Well,
well.
it was pretty cold, and Shaw and I went in. And then this year, I was seeing some Jason Shaw posts of him doing the bathing. So I think
Yeah.
that was his first. He took his first steps last year. But I'm never pushing stuff onto someone. If I feel a student has an interest to learn more about something,
yeah,
or is eager to try new stuff, then I'll do it. But in the past, I've learned that if I get too enthusiastic about the things that I'm into, that for 9 out of 10 players, that goes a bit too far.
yeah. Well, it's just more of like having your finger on the pulse of how to adjust to different personalities. Part of being a
Yes.
great teacher.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
yeah. So I also want to throw out a disclaimer. Like, I can be very academic. I think I can sound academic when it comes to talking about pool, but if I'm working with a player or a group of players, I try to stay away from that. I try to not bombard players with knowledge. It's about it needs to be digested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me
I,
ask you. So if I'm an aspiring player, does the skill level matter? Number one, and number two, let's say I'm interested. How am I getting a hold of you, Alex?
Good question. Well, through social media, plus 31 6 1986 4540.
Just throw out the WhatsApp number on there. There you go.
Alex Lely
Yeah.
coaching at iCloud.com or
Yeah.
headheartarm at outlook.com.
Awesome.
So that's the one
repeat
question.
those. We'll have you repeat those at the end too for everyone in
Oh,
case
yeah,
they didn't
sure.
catch
Okay,
it.
thanks. But,
Yeah.
and regarding skill level, the only thing that matters if you're a lower level player, that you're not used to practice long and hard.
Why is that?
So,
Why do you
well,
say that?
because if you were used to practice long and hard, you would have reached a higher skill level.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay.
Probably, even if you're 600. No, okay, let me put it 500, 600. They have put in hours. It just
Yeah.
depends on someone's ability to be focused and working on the job for hours at a time. But I only push as hard as someone can endure.
What's
So,
the frequency like how if I'm going out there, how many hours a day are we working and how long are we doing this for?
well, for example, you like your one pocket, yeah? So if I
Yeah.
take
Yeah.
you as a one pocket player, my thoughts would go out to doing like a 3 hour workman intense session where I sort of drain you.
Yeah.
You get to do drills, I make you work, bit of technical input. Then we would have a walk, we have a lunch. I like to take a nap, even if it's 20 minutes, just chill, and then be back at the table 2 hours, 3 hours later to sort of do something more playful.
Yeah. Good
Play,
balance.
yeah, and talk. There's a moment for everything, but I can't expect you to be on the ball, sharp the whole time. That's, I think, a thing in practicing pool for players. If many players, they just practice not missing. They do stuff where they don't allow themselves to miss, but that's tough.
Yeah.
You can't do that for 5 hours. So I'm a big proponent of shifting between playful stuff, defense stuff, where you are allowed to miss. For example, if you play bank pool, if I play bank pool, if anyone plays bank pool, they allow themselves to miss.
Right. The move. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. You can miss all day as long as you look good. As long as I saw that you respected the shot, went through the routines, put in a good stroke, and then you made it or missed it. You learned something.
Let me ask you a question. So on the topic of Mosconi, when it comes to these big names, when you're in that week, or let's say in the 2 weeks prior, however close you're getting leading up to it, are you talking more technical stuff with the players, or how are you
Oh, no, no.
approaching knowing that they're already seasoned and accomplished in their own respect?
Well, yeah, sure, but you can still, there are still things to work on. But closer to D-Day, it's not smart to ask questions, because technical questions, if you post a question, they don't get an answer. It's a process to detect certain flaws, to understand where the flaws come from, to understand what to do to counter those flaws. That
Right.
takes time, so you don't want to do that right before. If I, because it's also difficult for the trainer coach to to stay quiet. Sometimes it's difficult. I find it difficult. And maybe I would say, make a joke. Jump up a little more next time.
Yeah.
I
Or,
like it. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
more for it's actually funny, because if you're working with the player, when you do have time to work on technique, high level, low level, mid level, if you tell them that they play with a 2 diamond forehand like bridge length, which is way over the top, you can tell them 10 times, hey, maybe just experiment with shortening that bridge length a little bit,
Yeah.
and it won't enter. But if you make a joke once, you say more, more,
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
bridge, they start laughing, and
It'll
they'll get it
resonate.
right
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah.
So, Alex, it seems like since I started watching pool when I was much younger, And they were always great pool players, but it seems like the standard has been raised, especially worldwide, right? And you hit on, I think, a few things that are kind of interesting. How much would you say that maybe the focus on things outside of just playing pool, like a cold plunge or diet or exercise, do you think that's helping to elevate the game? And do you think that might be one reason why maybe the European players seem to be excelling right now?
No, I think first step is mechanics.
Mechanics.
Mechanics and having an analytical approach. And you don't need to be an academic, but first knowing how to deliver straight and understanding how to practice. And I'm not opposed to gambling. I think gambling is good practice, but practice is also good practice. It's just a mix of it all.
Yeah.
So having a so what's important? I think that's the first thing. And then if everybody left and right around you hits the ball straight, makes 99 out of 100 shots, then it comes down more to shot selection. And then it comes down to getting the nuance right. The break, the bank, the push out, jump shot. And then it's about stamina and mental game. And it's not consequential. I mean, but I think Europe is ahead mostly because the players in Europe in general are technically more sound. So left and right, and on the television watching snooker, you see sound technique, and it's in the States. I mean, it's there. Yeah, there are many people doing the right thing right now.
So let me ask you, you're not trying to, deconstruct their mechanics leading up to a Mosconi Cup. So what exactly would you say, or what was your goal and game plan with these players as far as training in the preparation in those weeks leading up to it?
Well, we did the most work in the first year, 2020, the COVID edition, because I had everyone at home. That was also easier. Yeah, I had their time. They weren't traveling, and it was my first year. And we did most work on defense and shot clock work.
Really?
And what I've seen also before Mosconi Cup with other players in the Netherlands, everywhere, defense, you can practice defense, and the more you do it, the better you become. And then I could point out with the numbers to some players that their safety game was weaker than the other guys on the team. And then just put in some more time and up their safety game. So I think that's the thing we worked on most. Oh yeah, and shot clock work.
Are you looking at stats then to provide them that feedback as far as having holes in your safety game?
Well, video doesn't lie and numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
So top players are top players because they're stern and hard-headed. So you get a yes, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I wasn't trying. Or but I was trying to make that difficult shot.
Yeah.
But but in the match I would play another shot. So those are the yes buts. And then if I say yes, but all the guys are scoring 9 out of 10 and you're scoring 7 out of 10, show me 9 out of 10. Hey, you didn't manage. Hey, and again, you didn't manage.
Yeah.
Maybe there is something there. It will land. The message will land, but with some players it will land quicker, and with others a little slower. But once they start seeing the results, they're believers.
So they're already shooting the ball straight. So then you're obviously putting a real high premium on the weight of the safety battle versus how that translates into victories. Then.
Yeah, well, I haven't watched a lot of this year's Mosconi Cup. I was busy traveling and planning to sit down at 6-6. I was thinking it would go like 5-5, 6-6. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. But what I've seen in previous years and this year, there's a Fargo difference to overcome by the Europeans, and maybe. I'm not saying everything is about defense, but what I've seen, what I believe to have seen, is that the Americans have some steps to make there. I think they're a little bit behind there.
I'd agree with that. And we saw early matches with Federer where his first two times at the table, he went to play a safe and didn't quite get there and lost both those games, and then he was in the hole. What can you kind of take us through? Because when I think of safety play, I think of two things, right? There's the decision making part of it, like do I play a safe or do I not? And then even with that, do I try to separate balls or do I try to like lock somebody up tight? How do you as a coach get players to practice that? Do you set up shots for that, or do
No,
you just look?
there are games. So there are a couple things you would want to practice if you want to practice safeties. That's cue ball speed. That's seeing the right shot. That's focusing on the object ball, focusing on the cue ball. So different things are focused on in different games, and you need players to be repetitive. So it's so I have this little game, and the objective is not so difficult, but you need to be repetitive. So I want to see runs of 7, 8 constantly.
Yeah.
And what that does, it's automating a certain skill, like click, 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 click. So it comes natural without any effort, because this is also important. It's you're a one pocket player. One pocket player has all those shots in abundance.
Yeah.
Like seeing the shot immediately,
Yeah.
and using 2 calories to prepare it mentally and executing. That's important. I mean, someone that doesn't practice it will maybe also see the shot,
But the
and
execution may not be there, though.
yeah, or they'll get it, but
Yeah.
where the other guy is 10 out of 10, the second guy is maybe 8 out of 10, or gets in trouble with the shot clock, or maybe is good in the first 40 minutes of the match, and then all of a sudden 4-4 shot clock position. Because I have these discussions with players who have had certain situations, matchroom event, quarterfinal, shot clock. And they say, yeah, it was a very difficult position and there was a shot clock. I know. But if you do the work and if you really add this level to your game, then you have a chance, it is very likely, that in that instant you will see the shot. And you don't need to look for a shot, but you just recognize it. That's the biggest thing.
It's real interesting you mentioning those two things because Joey brought up, Federer earlier when it comes to the positional play, and I'll chalk part of that up to maybe the equipment and the moment as well, because I know what he was trying to do, but other aspects it was shot clock has very much been an issue at times, in his game. We saw it in that Francisco match. I don't know if you were able to watch that one. But where it just kind of crept up, we saw it in, I think it was it Hanoi, Joey, when he's playing Jason in a semifinal, so how tough is it to, because I mean you can have a stopwatch and count down 30 seconds, but you obviously saw like a different type of class when it comes to the Europeans. Like they weren't worried at 20 seconds, they weren't worried at 15, they were just saying, hey, you got all the time in the world here, and then there wasn't any stress. So whatever it is you were doing, it translated and it held through with a lot of those guys because it was the same team that you had.
Yeah. Well, we've worked on it, but they throughout the year play many televised matches, so on average they're more used to it. But still, if you have that movie Moneyball, it's in stats. Even if you're the underdog, you can still work on it and better those skills, because win you want to make a good showing. So at least like some habits should be there, some mental game should be there, some management of the shot clock. It's all stuff you can practice.
It's funny you bring up Moneyball because Joey just brought up that movie the other day on one of our shows. One of my favorite movies as well.
Yeah.
How?
Alex, leading up to this year's Mosconi Cup, did you have any conversations with any of the European players?
None whatsoever.
Really? What did you miss most about not being involved with Mosconi this year?
But
Two things.
besides the 40,000.
Was it 40 this year? No, it wasn't that. I was getting something else. I was
Yeah.
getting something else. I don't
Yeah.
know what Rolf got this year. What was I missing besides that? The camaraderie and the intensity and the fun and yeah, it's very intense. But yeah, it's it's just fun behind the scenes. Well, I had a lot of fun those days.
It seemed like they did too this year. I don't know if you got to watch, pieces of it, but they never seemed any kind of stress. I mean, granted, the scoreline was, in their favor from the beginning, but you can tell they just gelled, completely different out there than anything that we've
Well,
seen.
what you do a lot, you become good at. So now they've got their winning ways back. And I was thinking about one year where Marcus was coaching, and they were anytime Team Europe was on camera, they were doing little dances and having fun and laughing. Sure, life is good when you're winning, but now if USA can turn this around and find a way to get a little more grip. I'm not even talking about winning, but getting in the same position that they were in last year in Vegas when Skylar missed that shot. He missed the 8 ball to go 8-8, I think,
Against
7
David.
7.
Against David, I believe, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
like that's when it gets really exciting. And I haven't lived a 9-9 or a 10-10, but
It got
that
pretty
must be
it
hard to
got pretty heated
swallow.
in there though. You felt the intensity in that room, and there were moments where you had almost 3,000 people silent. I mean, you couldn't hear a pin drop in there,
Yeah.
which was just incredible. And then other moments where you felt the rattle and the vibration of the noise and the excitement. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Didn't you
Yeah.
didn't you challenge Tyler to a one pocket match last year during Mosconi Cup? Didn't that happen? Am I remembering that incorrectly?
I don't know what. Well, he
I do
was
remember that.
woofing
Yeah.
at me to get to my side of the floor there, and then putting his chest in front, and then he was calling me out, and then I'll say, "Yeah, we can play one
Yeah.
pocket," and
Yeah,
then I
he
heard,
said bet 10,000. I think that was the phrase that was used at some point throughout there. It's funny because I think Lely last year at the Derby, and I'm like, what are you doing here? You here to scout players or just checking out Europeans? And he's like, oh no, I'm gonna be upstairs in the action room. And sure enough, every day I'd go in there, and there was Alex just playing one pocket over and over, day in day out.
"Yeah,
It was
but
pretty
well,
awesome.
6 days, then I need to
Yeah.
leave."
Believe me, 6 days is more than enough time at that casino because by then you're just burnt out. I can't fade.
Well, it's six
Yeah,
days tops. If I stay longer, I burn out.
yeah, it's rough, man. It's
Yeah.
rough. Um,
Alex,
Go
there's
ahead, Joe.
Jeremy is facing quite a bit of criticism for some of the decisions that just Team USA not performing. And at the end of the day, the players have to put balls in the pockets, right? And so, do you think that any criticism of the captain is fair, or do you think it's more belongs on the players?
Well, many people have opinions. Clint Eastwood said something about that. I don't know if you know the saying. He knows.
Yeah,
Uh, well, he's had a couple of years, Jeremy Jones, and then you need to, as a viewer, as a fan, you think, okay, do I see improvement? Do I see progress? Do I feel like he can take the American team? So I can understand when someone online says, "Well, I don't see it."
yeah,
Yeah.
So maybe, but that's from the outside in looking. Is maybe he's too accommodating to the players because I would like to see being the captain more uniformity. And as difficult as it is to pull them out of their normal routines, and I think Johan has the legacy in the Mosconi Cup, and for a reason he did that with those players, and it took something. It wasn't easy, but they became like an hour ago, half hour ago here on the show. I said with the player doing safety stuff, when they start to see the results, they'll become believers.
they'll
And
buy
that was
into the system.
and that was the same with Team USA. But very important to stay with the program. Don't fall back in your I'm me, I'm here with me, and I'm here for me. It's something different, Mosconi Cup. So uh, maybe my impression has been that they got accommodated too much, the players, some players.
You mean okay? Well, let me ask you: how would you deal with a personality like a Shane then, if you were the captain? If you just knowing what you know about Shane and seeing him out there and how he can kind of disconnect.
And
Um, well, that takes a lot of investment. You need to invest in rapport in a relationship, and well, I think. Okay, so your question. You need to invest. Well, you need to
Yeah.
you need to
tough one.
invest. You need him to at least you need to have sort of a contract. So are you able to, even though you don't believe it, pretend as if you do?
Yeah.
Because that's one part of the trick. Like
Yeah.
in the past, we used to have, in Europe, there was Oliver Ortman. He was on the team, great player, big ego, in a good way. That was his engine. But if he wasn't performing, he got grumpy and he isolated himself. You can't have that. You need to be there for the team. So how do you handle a character like Shane? Well, all these guys, these big champions, have big personalities.
Yeah.
And as easy as Europe makes it look now, behind the scenes there are also situations, and I think it's very much about that being the captain. So you need to get him on board,
When
and,
you're
and maybe and maybe and maybe pick your lineups differently to take weight off of his shoulders. You can
yeah.
get to play that match if you deserve to play that match. Easier said than done, but you need to have a vision, and you can't adapt your vision to or your strategy to one player's character.
It seems like the Euros are more open to that. I would say, like they'll whatever role you want to put them in, they're willing to accept.
Um,
At least from the outside looking in.
from the outside.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then how about from the
Tell us
inside looking
more.
out? Give me some. Yeah. Give me some of those stories, Alex.
Yeah, give us some of the infighting that occurred in Team Europe
Yeah.
that we didn't see
Yeah.
because you guys
Yeah.
won 11-8.
You were there. So the COVID year they had Kachi and Federer, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, what happened? So some players are not used to input and are not used. Kachi wasn't used to input and wasn't used to coaching. And then we're practicing. You have 3-4 days to practice, and they're playing doubles. And then some player, I don't know who, Albin, he's looking at a shot. He's knowing what to play, but you can tell by his body language that he's just assessing and reasserting himself. And then from the corner of his eye comes Kachi, and he's pointing stuff out, which is just distracting, has no added value.
yeah.
And we only discussed that 28 times before. It still happened. It still happened, and then oh yeah, and then okay, so and then Albin said to me and Carl, he said, "Oh man, why did he do the blah blah blah?" But we addressed it, and it doesn't sound like a whole lot, but you have these nagging situations between players, and then we addressed it, and it was like a mini crisis. It never was a crisis, but at least it was something that happened before. You would like stuff to happen before, because it's an incentive to talk about stuff and have people address stuff. And you say, okay, Josh, tell me what you told me. Tell him what you told me about him. It's better if we throw it out in the open.
Yeah. Well,
And
because
then
if you're
the other
Albin,
guy,
you almost anticipate it. If you're Albin, you almost think, okay, he's going to say something here, and you're just kind of waiting for your energy is just wasted on. I know he's going to say something here on this shot,
and it needs to be ironed out. Before, and if you have a situation and you talk about stuff, then it's easier for people to remember.
Yeah.
It's about respecting someone's bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Yeah. So anything else? A bunch
But
of stuff. But
did you feel like it got the results you were looking for once you were able to address it?
well, listen,
On the
US.
29th time, I should say.
Wait. So now, what was the score? 11-3?
11-3, yeah.
Yeah.
11-3. So now I get texts by cynical friends who say, "You see, the role of the coach is overestimated." You know, I gave 100%. I gave it a lot, and I think apart from what I might have contributed to them becoming more of a team and winning the cup, they have learned valuable lessons about themselves and about the game, as did I, and we had a bunch of fun.
Would you do it again?
Yeah.
Well,
And would you
well,
consider would you
I've
consider Team
decided to step
USA?
out. I've decided to step out. So, would I do it again, USA? Yeah, well, there's the shadow of Johan hanging over me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty. That's my response to the naysayers who text me, my friends who say that the role of the coach is overestimated.
Yeah.
Johan made a winning team from the underdogs.
Yeah.
So, um, all credit to him.
But you
And
like a
for
challenge though, Alex, you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, there's a certain constellation in which I would definitely consider.
Which is?
Yeah, that's a difficult way to say. Yes, I would be open to the challenge, but there needs to be a click with the players. I would like to have a, a wingman or a partner. You know, I've thought about it, and yeah.
Yeah. I mean, right now it's still Jeremy's job, but 11-3 scoreline isn't going to get you any favor amongst Matchroom, with fans. And to his credit, when I asked Jeremy, he was very much aware of that. We respect the job that he did, but he's also very much a sports fan, so he understands that. And I'd imagine it's not easy, especially trying to get everyone on the same page. But when
Listen,
when the heat is on, Alex, are you making moves that you didn't anticipate to make because you had USA coming in the rear view when you were in Vegas, and they had a chance to take the lead there. Are you making a move in the moment, or are you just kind of staying the course as to how you prepared, what you anticipated coaching like, and things like that?
no, I think the biggest choices are made. You make them on day one and day two, and after that, it's sort of it becomes a lot easier to make the lineup. Um, and then after that, the biggest, I think, choice for me is if you up or down the energy or a player's energy. Does a player need firing up or cooling down, calming down?
You got some fire
Uh,
on Team Europe, that's for sure. With
yeah,
Josh and
well,
Jason.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's it. That brings a lot of energy, and David was really good. He left it all out there, so that was great.
A lot of passion.
Albin won a nice match against Earl because I think he was losing 3-0.
He was. I remember
Yeah,
that
but
match.
that's it's yeah. Earl was playing 3 matches on one day last year, and this year there was another American player playing 3 matches. But it's tough. It's super tough. I know, super
Yeah.
tough.
Ralph
Yeah.
got some criticism too, especially on day one where broadcast was talking about it. It kind of didn't seem like he knew what to do, or he seemed like a fish out of water. Just curious, like that side of it, being there as the captain and knowing when to go up and high five people or kind of gathering them or bring them in together. How hard is that trying to decide like what role you play on game day right out in the arena?
Well, it helps if you've been around the Mosconi Cup, and I've played and I've been a commentator, and that helps.
Hmm.
And frankly, I was hoping for the whole thing to go close, also to see how he would deal with that, because we spoke on the phone like 2 weeks, 3 weeks before, a couple weeks before, and I got the idea that he didn't really anticipate the enormity of the whole event, and it
Were
has been. enormous event, but it would have been a lot more intense for him had it gone 7-all.
Of course, yeah, without a doubt. And
Yeah.
Lord knows we all wanted to see it. Everybody on earth wanted to see it, but the Europeans just had no let up in them. They played like the champions that they are, and
Well,
and
when we did it 3 years, when I was captain 3 years, we lost on day one. We fell behind every time. I don't know why that was, but every time. And now, they got off to a good start, won the team match 4-0. Bada bing, bada bang.
yeah, I
Then all of
remember
a sudden it feels light.
I remember the first time we spoke after day one, and I'll never forget this quote because I asked you, I said, are you nervous? You're down 3-1. It's not what you expected. And you just, in your best Clint Eastwood looked over at me and said, if you were down 3-1 in a race to 11, would you be nervous? And I was like, well, when you put it like that, all right, I get it.
Yeah, well, I think it was also very close the year when that's 2 years ago when Jeremy had that foul on that day.
Oh yeah,
I think we went down. What was it? It could have been 7-3.
I think so. Yeah.
And there was, I think, if I remember well, there was David partnering with Kachi. That was a very, very big match.
Yeah.
There was 7-3 or 6-4, I think. Something like that. Yeah, but yeah, did I miss it? Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
imagine.
it needs to get back to to a tighter event. But I'm
What?
convinced. I'm convinced there's a lot of talent in the States. Many people doing the right job. Guy like D. Atkins in Ohio is doing a good job. Set up an academy, working a lot, investing a lot with junior players. Good instructors. The knowledge is getting better in regard to coaching, like how to coach a person and how to teach a player. And what else? Yeah, I've been thinking about it. The biggest challenge, I think, to US pool is not bar table pool. I think that's a thing. But bigger is the fact that an upcoming player, needs to decide if he prefers to stay on an 80% win ratio matching up at home or get on a plane, fly somewhere in the world, have a jet lag, eat different food, and go 2-0. And then be motivated to do it again 5 weeks later.
And cost him $4,000 in the process.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing. But how can you get those 750 players? How do you keep them motivated and hungry to do all the traveling? So apart from the financial burden.
You saw something in Wolford. I remember seeing a comment from you, maybe like 6 months into the year. You were pretty high on him. Why was that, Alex? What did you see from Shane just in the little experience you had here in the U.S.?
Buffaloes. He finished third in Buffaloes. Yeah. And it's not his forte, one pocket, but he just, he's a good player. He's not a great, but what I saw, he likes money and he's a professional gambler. I mean, he's a professional pool player, but he has different activities. He's a very achieved poker player.
Yeah,
he's very businesslike. Knows how to deal with pressure, and he needed a debut. So he's got his debut at the Mosconi Cup. Could have maybe gotten it last year. Then he would have been better this year. You need to be a good player, sure, but you don't need to be a great player to do well in the Mosconi Cup.
Did you think the fact that they were, whatever it was, 11-8 with Earl, did you expect a similar type showing from the Americans at the least, given the fact that they had Wolford and Federer on the team?
Yeah. But there's a lot of pressure on Federer as well, being out there, a lot of expectancy. But it's a process, but it's just that if the current is going in a certain direction, it's difficult to go against. Yeah. Momentum is in Europeans' corner, so it's difficult to turn that around.
One of the fact that on day 2, Jeremy put Federer up 3 matches in a row. What was your kind of thought process when it came to putting players up multiple matches in a row?
Well, 3 is a lot. 2, and some players like 2, other players don't. I think in general, many players like 2. It's just the sort of a worry that if they lose the first, the worry that they could lose 2.
Yeah.
But I think it's worth a lot. It's worth a lot having those back-to-back entries in the arena. Heart rate, you get used to that real quick.
Yeah,
it settles. So even if you lose the first one and you're a bit down, I haven't looked at the stats, but probably if you look at the stats, a player losing the first does pretty okay in the second.
Yeah.
But three is a lot. It's demanding physically.
We had Albin on, I think, after leading up to the Mosconi Cup following Hanoi, and I was real surprised because Albin's just, incredibly decorated. He's been in multiple world championship finals, multiple-time world champion. He's won everything under the sun, World Cup of Pool, Mosconi Cup, you name it. And I was real shocked that he said, I don't like going out there back-to-back. It's too much. I need time to kind of settle down a little bit. And I was really shocked because I expect his greatness all the time, and he delivers all the time, so it really made me just my eyes more open to, he is more human because I've just seen so many great moments in there, which is unbelievable to me.
Well, the thing is, you have this learning model. I don't know if you know it. It's like you go from unconscious incompetent to conscious incompetent to conscious competent to unconscious competent. Learning cycle. I don't know if you know it. You can look it up.
I just stay incompetent most times.
But
continually incompetent.
Yeah.
Lower level players, they think about the pro players and champions that they're always on autopilot.
Yeah. We take it for granted.
No. Well, maybe 15% of the time, 20% of the time they're on autopilot. The rest is work. They're just very well-conditioned players. So they make it look like they're on autopilot, but they're working.
Yeah.
So people don't realize how much work is behind it and all those years of working on their game. Ronnie O'Sullivan is a huge talent, but many pros, they laud his work ethic. Because no matter what he said over the years, he practices hard.
Give us some insight to Ronnie's maybe like in his prime. I mean, he's still playing amazing and very much well within his prime. But like, what is a talent like that? What's his work ethic like, Alex?
Oh, well, I don't know in detail. I just know colleagues that say in interviews that he's a hard worker. Yeah. And some say it in a nice complimentary way. He has worked hard. His success over 30 years comes from somewhere, blah, blah, blah. And others say it as a critique. So I don't care for what Ronnie says, but he practices. Yeah. He's just acting as if. That's also, you need to act as if. You need to fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
So in regarding to the team, what I said, team spirit and Mosconi Cup, even though you feel shit, look as if you're feeling positive and have faith in the team, because that stuff works like that.
Is it Alex, for the other guys around there? I don't mean to cut you off.
Of course. Just no matter what, you stick together.
Yeah,
because that's what the cup is about. You stick together, no matter what. And you feel sorry for yourself. I just read that quote from the Hustler: "Self-pity, the biggest indoor sport." Yeah, you feel shit when you don't perform, but you need to be there for the next guy.
I love that.
Alex, getting back to the training angle, I've played pool for 45 years and, I've been a pretty high-level amateur, but not professional. But I'm curious, there's this phenomenon that I've always wanted to understand why it happens. And that is that you can be at a tournament or you can be playing and you go out there and you play your best pool. And you think, wow, this is going to be a great day for me. I just won that match 9-2. I played perfect pool. And then you get up, nothing's changed. You get up the very next match, and every pool player can relate to this. And it's like you forgot how to play pool, right? And even you try to get yourself back to your fundamentals. You try to out there. Something is off. Have you experienced that? And what would you tell a student who's had that problem?
Well, the most important thing, I think, so that's what I would say, is acceptance. Because of knowledge, heart, and technique and form, the form in the moment is the one that's the least controllable. I'm not going to lose my knowledge. I'm not going to lose, well, on good days you have more heart, other days a little less. But form is more volatile. How you hit the ball, and you say nothing changed, but your body changes. Like, I'm very good at 10 in the morning, and I'm a little weaker at 3 in the afternoon. It's also biorhythm. We spoke about our circadian rhythms, sleep rhythms. That's all going on. But the most important is acceptance. So don't go into the match expecting anything. You're there, you're just assessing what your form allows you to do at the table. Be accepted. Don't go on tilt. Don't go looking for something that's maybe not there. Just try and play smart. Work with what you have, and maybe 10 minutes later, pop, 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 you break. You have an open table. You stay in the moment. You run the table. He breaks, no ball. You run out, and all of a sudden you're back playing a game.
So maybe one of my faults is recognizing and telling myself, wow, I'm playing great today. This is going to be a great day. And having that expectation leading into the next match rather than going in like a clean slate and saying, okay, now I have to execute. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, because the only thing you have is the shot right in front of you. Every time it's one shot at a time, and rhythm comes when you keep putting the cue ball in the right place. So don't go look for rhythm. Just try and play a clean game. Play quick if you can, if the game allows you to, and take a little more time and be deliberate when you need to. Mm-hmm. Because all the pros, they slow down. But you can only play a more deliberate game if you're conditioned to play like that.
I got to tell you, man, this gets me fired up to get a lesson, to go make a trip to Italy.
Go to Italy.
Yeah.
Well, Italy is good. Italy is great. By that time, let me get on the show and show you the place. But we can also work online, of course, but it's less fun.
Yeah. So okay, so there is options if somebody wants to get some training from you remote. That's available as well, Alex.
Yeah, that's available, and I have worked with world champions and did a couple sessions right before they started winning big stuff, and working on alignment. So just saying, even online, you can work on alignment and highly technical stuff.
Well, I don't know about you, Joe, but I'm gonna get some training done. I'm gonna come bust you, son.
I'm gonna be in Italy in April. I'm thinking about a detour and stopping by.
Well, I'm 1 hour from where you are.
Okay, 1 hour east of Rome. I might be stopping by.
That's nothing, man.
Be in touch.
Yeah.
Can I get Alex, a friend's discount?
We'll get you some good content out there while Joe is
there.
there.
I love when people do that.
Sure.
Every time, and it's pool. He's been around pool players. He knows. Yeah. Alex, how can people get a hold of you? How can they reach out to you? What are some contact information if they want to get training from you?
Let me say it again. It's +31 61986 4540. Alex Lely coaching at iCloud.com or headheartarm@outlook.com.
Love it. Head, heart, arm. That's pretty cool.
At outlook.com. Yeah. Thanks,
Alex. We appreciate your time. I thoroughly enjoyed this interview. It's always a lot of fun. You're such a bright mind in the sport. Hopefully we get to see you, even if it's not on the Mosconi stage, just somewhere, soon, because I always enjoy your company, man.
All right, cool. Thanks, guys. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry enjoy Christmas time, man. Happy holidays.
Bye-bye. Ciao.
See you, brother. I tell you what, Joe, that was pretty good, man.
I told you, Mike, you had a bunch of interviews lined up this week, and it's no disrespect to any of the other people you're interviewing, but I said, man, I want to make that interview with Alex, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
He's just
that's
so
why I'm all
cerebral and just.
about to go do a
Yeah.
business meeting, but I had to make time.
Well, this ought to get you fired up.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
Yeah, I love the part because I call it like it's almost like you forget how to play pool when you're an idiot and you play a great match and then the terrible, and I can never diagnose and figure out why. And he helped me there. I'll have to see how it plays out. But I think one of the things I do wrong is I kind of make that judgment call after the first match and decide this is going to be a great day or this is going to be a bad day, right?
Yeah.
Rather than taking each match as it comes and dealing with my form in that match. As he said, the form is something that can change day to day. So it's kind of interesting. So
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, those are just, little nuggets. Imagine if you get, a decent amount of time around the guy, just how much you can improve your overall,
yeah,
So
definitely.
absolutely a great interview. I can't wait to have him on again. We got a busy week in store for you guys. I think we got Tony on Friday night, Tony Chohan. I got probably Mika Immonen around 1 o'clock tomorrow, which I'm looking forward to as well. Catch up with him and see how he's doing. And then I don't know. We're also working on a few other shows as well. End of year award show, which we're putting together, and we're actually going to have the first post hopefully up tonight. So you guys are actually going to decide the winner of each
You get to go
category.
and vote. Yeah,
You're going to go vote. Go on Windows Open, and you can check it out. You guys can go vote from there. And then we'll be doing an end of year show. And then what was the other one, Joe? What else are we doing? The
top players to watch in 2024, up and comers.
Yeah, that's the one. So
yeah,
this has been
that was your idea, and you keep forgetting about it. You're
I
always
got a lot on my
what was
plate.
the other show? I know.
A lot on my plate. But Joey, I'm glad you made it, man. This was a great day, great start to my day. I've been up since 4:30, and I'm just gonna keep on hitting the ground running. So I appreciate all you guys for hanging out with us. Thanks so much for stopping by, and we'll see everybody.